Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
Today, let's continue discussing Mithu Storoni's book, Hyper-Efficient, on how to use the brain scientifically. A realization I had after reading it is that we should think carefully about what it means to be a knowledge worker. If you categorize workers into physical workers and knowledge workers, the question arises: do athletes count as physical workers? Just like most physical workers use their bodies in a very average way, many knowledge workers use their brains in a mundane way as well. Modern urban white-collar workers sit in offices processing information, and for many jobs, there's little creativity involved. Just following routines. It doesn't seem to require much brainpower. Among knowledge workers, those we might call the athletes, such as artists, scientists, inventors, and decision-makers, must be highly attuned to the state of their brains. They need to be aware of the need to shift gears. Storoni's book divides the brain's functioning into 3 distinct gears, each with significant differences. So, if you're a great knowledge worker, you shouldn't use your brain in a flat, steady way. You should have bursts of activity, with your own rhythm. Today, let's talk about the rhythm of the brain. The human brain was not designed to work at a constant speed. Working at a fixed pace is a requirement for factory production lines, a product of industrialization. It all started with the insight of management pioneer Frederick Taylor. He observed factory workers and found that allowing them to work at their own pace, working hard when energized, resting when tired, was not only detrimental to cooperation but also wasted energy. The scientific approach, he suggested, was to set standardized movements for each worker, creating a unified rhythm to improve efficiency and conserve energy. This idea was taken further by Ford Motor Company with the assembly line, where workers no longer moved, and the conveyor belt delivered their tasks to them, forcing everyone to work at the same pace. The efficiency of this method was optimized for quantity because it ensured a consistent rhythm, eliminated waiting time, and reduced wasted energy. The approach was so effective it became a tradition. In a sense, modern office workers have become assembly line workers too. Except now, it's information flowing rather than physical tasks. But let's think about this. While assembly lines optimize quantity, shouldn't knowledge work be more focused on quality? Right? The quality of your writing is more important than how much you write. So, how do we optimize for quality? High-level knowledge work happens in each person's own mind. Of course, there is division of labor, but in the end, great ideas, creativity, decisions, and reasoning all occur in a single person's brain. You don't need constant handoffs. An article isn't written by one person starting a sentence, another continuing it, and someone else finishing it. Knowledge work is very personal, so it seems we should follow the natural rhythm of our own brain, regardless of Taylor and Ford's methods. What is the natural rhythm of work? Anthropologists have studied many surviving hunter-gatherer tribes in the modern world, and they found that their work patterns are very different from those of factory workers or urban white-collar workers. They don't work at a constant pace. Most of the time, their work intensity is very low. For example, when searching for food, they usually only look around their immediate area. Enough to get by. They walk, stop, rest, and repeat, at a relaxed pace. Only when absolutely necessary do they track game and perform strenuous tasks, such as chasing large animals, which may involve running. But these high-intensity efforts are rare, and after one such task, they rest for several days. Mathematically, this work pattern follows a power law distribution, meaning that small tasks occur very frequently, while extreme tasks happen less often, though they do happen. The chart looks like this. The x-axis shows the intensity of different types of work, and the y-axis shows frequency. Most of the work done by hunter-gatherers is low intensity, and high-intensity tasks are very rare. Surveys show that these people have much better physical and mental health, and live longer, than urban white-collar workers. Spending most of the time doing easy tasks, with occasional bursts of intensity, seems to be our natural design. It's the fixed agricultural and industrial production systems that have distorted us. But our genetic memory still exists. Just look at newborns. They spend most of their awake time in short bursts. They play for a bit, then sleep. If they have a long stretch of wakefulness, they sleep for an extended period afterward. The most effective knowledge workers also operate this way. Before the internet, scholars communicated by letters. One study looked at how Darwin, Freud, and Einstein distributed their time replying to letters. They didn't respond immediately after receiving a letter, like assembly line workers. They often responded quickly, but sometimes it took a long time. They usually replied spontaneously, but occasionally after deep reflection. This isn't the office worker mode. This is a power law distribution. Of course, in the modern workplace, we can't take several days off after working for just one day, but we should still work according to a more natural rhythm. Storoni particularly recommends using a small cycle. We know that sleep follows a cycle. From light sleep to REM sleep and then to deep sleep, with each cycle lasting about 90 minutes. Some have proposed that the brain operates on a similar cycle while awake. We should work in cycles of 60 to 90 minutes, followed by a break. During each cycle, we should balance low and high-intensity tasks. Here, high-intensity work isn't Gear 3, but high-energy Gear 2, and low-intensity work is low-energy Gear 2. When you work for too long at high intensity, your performance drops. It feels like the brain is slowing down and is involuntarily heading toward the rest zone, Gear 1. This is actually a compensation mechanism. The brain needs rest. Storoni suggests structuring a cycle like this. The first 20 minutes should be for the hardest tasks. High-intensity work. The next 40 to 70 minutes should be for slower, more relaxed tasks. Then, take a 10-minute break before starting the next cycle. This high-to-low intensity cycle mirrors a power law distribution. It aligns with the natural lifestyle of hunter-gatherers, but on a shorter, more frequent cycle. In total, high-intensity knowledge work should not exceed 4 hours per day. Even great minds like Darwin didn't work intensely for more than 4 hours a day. If you exceed that, one night's rest won't be enough to recover. If you regularly use your brain at high intensity, rest is crucial. There are two main ways to rest. If you're simply tired, but not overly concerned about anything, just shift to Gear 1 to rest. Reading light novels or watching short videos is fine, as long as you don't focus too intensely. If something grabs your attention and makes you think deeply, then it's not really resting. However, if you're tired but can't stop worrying about work or other concerns, you need to actively shift your brain to another mode. Physical exercise, playing video games, meditation, or deep breathing exercises can help. The key is to let go of that worry first. In any case, continuous mental work shouldn't exceed 90 minutes. A 15 to 20-minute nap can quickly restore your energy, and we've covered this in previous videos. Finally, let's talk about using your brain in creative work. The key to creativity is connecting ideas, which means you need to be in a good mood. You need to balance Gears 1 and 2, but avoid Gear 3. Once you're in Gear 3, you can't think freely. Your mind is dominated by pressure and stress, and that's the enemy of creativity. Gear 1 helps clear the brain, allowing you to set aside worries and prepare for creative thinking. Generally, the first and last states of the day are perfect for Gear 1, as these times allow the brain to fully relax. All work happens in Gear 2, which can be divided into 3 substates. Low-energy Gear 2 is best for spontaneous creativity, where ideas can suddenly pop up. The key feature of this state is that you have some focus, but it's fleeting. Your attention can rise and fall, and you need some external stimuli to maintain it. Interestingly, the attention in low-energy Gear 2 doesn't need to be on your work. For example, when you're walking, just focus on your steps. When doing household chores, you only need to focus on not dropping the dishes. You're focusing on trivial things, and that's often when ideas and inspirations pop up. Storoni's description of this matches my own experience. When I attend boring meetings, I often have flashes of inspiration. Because of my work, I frequently listen to reports, many of which I'm not interested in, and they happen in the afternoon, which makes me drowsy. But I can't fully sleep. I still need to pay attention to what's being said to participate in discussions. This half-focused state is when I find I often have interesting ideas unrelated to the meeting content. So, sometimes I take notes during reports, but those notes aren't about the report itself. The middle of Gear 2, called Focused Gear 2, is ideal for using crystallized intelligence, where you output knowledge you've already learned. High-energy Gear 2, in creative work, involves active divergent thinking combined with reasoning. You need to actively consider multiple possibilities and evaluate each one, just like OpenAI's O1 model of thinking. The more elements you can consider at once, the more connections you'll find, leading to new ideas. This is like searching. You expand your focus while being ready to zoom in on specific points. Interestingly, physical constraints and limitations on divergent thinking align with each other. If you're forced to sit up straight and rigidly, it becomes uncomfortable, and your mind won't flow easily. You'll struggle to come up with new possibilities. Another experiment found that, raising the ceiling height of a room from 8 feet to 10 feet immediately opened up new ways of thinking. So, it's best to have a spacious office. Or better yet, go outdoors to think. After all, the sky has no ceiling. It's common for creative work to lead you into Gear 3. Sometimes the problem is unsolvable, other times there's conflict within the team, or perhaps your idea gets rejected, and the criticism is harsh. How do you feel in those moments? You're probably in Gear 3, feeling tense, stressed, and threatened. This is when you should stop working and shift down a gear. Use the brain-switching methods we talked about. Play a game or listen to a joke. Now, let's look at a typical creative process. Nobel laureate Kazuo Ishiguro shared how he wrote his novel The Remains of the Day. First, he worked in high-energy Gear 2, preparing extensively. Since the novel tells the story of an English butler, Ishiguro read all available books on British servants and also studied political and diplomatic history between the two world wars. This helped him understand the historical context and the cultural environment of the characters. Next came the incubation phase. This stage was mainly in low-energy Gear 2 or even Gear 1. For a full year, Ishiguro didn't actively work on the novel. He attended social events and didn't force himself to think about it. Instead, the ideas and inspiration for the novel came naturally. Finally, when he started writing, he entered the illumination and verification phase, returning to high-energy Gear 2. Ishiguro wrote furiously every day, experimenting with various writing styles, brainstorming, and revising as he went. He completed the novel in just 4 weeks. But don't be misled by the 4 weeks of intense writing. The earlier extensive preparation and the incubation year were crucial to the creative process. True knowledge workers should not feel guilty about doing nothing. Our downtime, relaxation, socializing, and play should also be paid time. Without leisure, there can be no high-level performance. That's it for today's content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.